everybody. Today, uh, for Tuesday, you had to pick three of these objects and make a multi-dimensional drawing, multi-view drawing in your notebooks. So the front, top, and side view, and then whatever three objects you pick, you had to draw them in Inventor. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to do some details like the rounded parts, um, or number 11 is kind of tricky, or even number 9 can be kind of tricky if you're unsure of how to get it started. So um, I'm going to show you how to do a couple of these. Um, I'm going to do number 1 first to get us started, and you can actually figure out exactly how big these are. Each grid spacing is supposed to be 0.25 inches. It says 0.5, but it's supposed to be 0.25. For most of the things I'm going to show you today, I'm just going to kind of quickly do it. I'm not going to really dimension anything. It's going to kind of make it look approximate. So we're going to start a new sketch. And so I'm going to start with number 1. So now that we are kind of getting into an inventor, you're going to have to start thinking about what process, how am I going to start making these things. So with number 1, it makes sense to make a kind of a rectangle and then extrude it up, and then we can add to the surface and then cut out these other parts. So I'm going to make an approximate rectangle, and then we'll extrude that up a little bit. And like I said, I'm not going to dimension anything. I'm just going to kind of make it look like it should. So I just made this bottom piece. So to make this top part, we're going to do another sketch. And I'm going to make a rectangular piece. Then we'll extrude that up. And to get these cut out parts, we'll just extrude another piece. We'll start another sketch. And extrude that. And so we'll want to pick the one that says cut. And then obviously we can drag that or dimension it. And then same thing up here, we're going to click that surface, another approximate shape, and extrude, and we're going to go the other way. Okay, oops. That obviously was not up all the way, but you get the idea. So hopefully that first one isn't too hard. Let's take a look at another one that might give you some trouble. So for number 7, it's got a lot of curved pieces. So I'm going to I'm going to ignore this bottom little part. I'm just going to make this top part and then this part here. So if we start a new sketch. And we'll extrude that up. So there's 2 different ways that we can get this curve. So I'm going to make a curve on each end. One way is something called a fillet. So we're going to, not a fillet, but a fillet. We're going to click the edge that we want to curve, and we could dimension it. And what the dimension is it pretends like this is a radius of a circle, so it's how big the radius would be. Or we can just take this in and grab it, kind of approximate it. And really, if we knew exactly how wide this was, then it would just be half, the radius would just be half whatever the distance was. So we're going to click OK, and go over on this side, and it actually should save whatever that was, so we're going to fill it there too. And it's pretty round. If this were done perfectly, the edge of this one and the edge of this one should be touching. But that's close enough for right now. There's another way we can do this, and that's to take a circle. So we're going to start a sketch. We're going to click here. We're going to do a circle and try to find the halfway point. And we're going to actually use something called the trim. We're going to trim off some extra stuff. We don't need that one. So now we're going to hit finish. And just like before, we want to extrude. We want to extrude this part. But there's a problem. It's not a complete circle or a semicircle. So we're going to cancel that. And we're going to go back to whatever file that was in. So we're going to edit the sketch. And we're going to click on project geometry. And that tells us what line we want to pick, or the computer what line we're going for. We're actually going to draw another line over top, and we should be able to extrude now. There we go. Oops. Let's go and let's right click. Well, anytime I have trouble in Inventor, sometimes it's a lot easier just to start over rather than doing the whole thing over again. So let's start a new sketch. Do a circle. Find the halfway point. Let's see, I just want to walk down right there. There we go. Okay. So, we're going to trim this part again. Let's see if it lets us extrude. There we go. Huh. Just didn't like it the other time. So click the other direction, click OK, and we've got a nice circle, half circle there. So that is one way to do this part. And then obviously you'd want to dimension in that circle. And then if we try this curve, if you look really closely, you can see the curve probably actually doesn't really start until here, so you'd want to do a little box. So we're going to do start sketch, and again, this is just approximate today for me. For you, you're going to try to dimension things the best you can. So we're going to click OK, extrude, bring it up, bring that down just a little bit, do right about there. And then, just like before, we're going to do another sketch, do another half circle, and trim the axis, extrude. We're going to go the other way, and we want to go distance or to the next face, which is right here. Okay. Okay, so we've got this little arc, and we've got this little curve here, so we're going to use that fillet button again, and we're just the same as before. We're going to click on it, and there we go. Let's see, let's do one more. We're going to do number 11. This number 11 is kind of tricky. For number 9, actually, let's do number 9 first, because we can do that one really quick. So I'm just going to start a new part here. box, extrude it, and I want to take an angle off, not the whole thing. So we're going to start a sketch, and we're basically going to draw a triangle, and the triangle is the part that we're going to cut out. So we'll connect that part, that part to that part. I don't think I quite got as far as I need to get. Let's do that one more time. All the way to the circle, or to the edge, and then we're going to draw a line connecting this one, finish. Now we're going to extrude, and we want to go the other way. We'll cut it out. There we go. So obviously, dimension to get exactly the kind of angle that you want, and you should be able to count out the number of squares that it's dimension. So now let's do number 11, because number 11 is kind of tricky. So for number 11, we're going to make box, extrude, make it not quite so tall. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a triangle on one face and a triangle on the other face. So for this face, we're going to go from corner to corner. So we'll start in this corner, do approximately there, connect, and we're going to use our geometric constraints. We're going to try to make these equal to each other if it'll let us. Perfect. And then we'll hit OK. And then on the other face, I'm going to do another sketch. And I'm just going to approximate it, but again, you're going to want to try to dimension this best you can. Okay, so we're going to switch this one. Okay, so to cut out the distance between those two triangles, we're going to use a feature called loft. So we're going to hit loft, and sometimes I have success with this, and sometimes I have to redo my triangles. We're going to click on the triangle that you want, and this one, and so it looks like it's got it, and then we want to cut it out. So we're going to hit OK, and there we go. And that looks pretty similar to what we got there. And then obviously where you put the triangle in will determine how big this will be. But that's it. That's a lot of little tools there that you should be able to use to make pretty much everything on this piece of paper here. So good luck.